This is the Simulation Football League, presented by APM Music on YouTube. It might be called the City of Angels, but tonight there are only Lycans and legends. Los Angeles takes on Minnesota, coming your way in Week 4 of the SFL. Good evening, folks. I'm Tyler Falk. Welcome into Lycanthrope Lair, home of the LA Lycans. With Damon Simeon and Luke Schreiner, we just reside on stats. Cameron Irvine in production, and my broadcast partner, Brett Solberg. Thank you for spending a portion of your Sunday evening with us. Brett, LA returns home to rekindle their spark. Sure, they're 0-3, but the last time they were here, they took Seattle to the brink in a one-point game. What will we see in LA's second home game tonight?
Yeah, you say that they brought them to the brink, but they were their own worst enemy in that situation as well. It has been a tale of ups and downs, what feels like for LA. Every time it feels like they are back on track, they always take a step back. Whereas for Minnesota, they've only had 2 games in the system there, a close game against Fort Worth and got one against Mexico City. They still need to prove themselves as well. It is 2 teams that need to find their identity coming into the second quarter of the season. Tyler, it's going to be exciting.
LA showcasing their new midnight unis with the Sasquatch uniforms on display for Minnesota, as here we go from Lycanthrope. And the opening kickoff will be taken down for a knee in their own end zone. And so here comes LA and Sully Richardson. And either by design or by necessity, Sully's had to pass on average 39 times a game here, Brett. And unfortunately, it hasn't led to wins just yet.
I mean, the numbers look nice for Sully, second in completions, attempts, and yards. But right now, it feels like they always play from behind, so Sully's forced to throw it, like you said.
3 wide here for LA to begin the ball game. It'll be an opening play action as Sully rolls to his right. Deep shot into double coverage, nearly taken away by Meerkat over the middle. And let's introduce you the rest of that Lycan offense. Logan Jack, Brandon Brennenstall are the halfbacks, with Jalen Wells ahead of them at fullback. Darius Iniguez, Chris Lee, LZ Pryor, and Bubba Tree are the wideouts, with Tommy Rahman and Jack Flash at tight end. Then on the line, 2 tackles, Oren Wilds and Bob Westowska, and 1 guard, Christian Swifty, make up the brunt of that offensive line attack. Second play will also be a play-action rollout here for Sully, and he will toss it left side, and that's caught. Lee turns around in quick succession, and Chris picks up the first down, nearly 20 yards.
And Chris Lee, we saw last week, a very close eye for us, Tyler, in that Atlanta game. The first half was all Chris Lee, and it looks like they're trying to feed him once more to get him more involved. He shot up his reception numbers in a big way, now up to 19 coming into this game, 6th heading into Week 4, which is big, so you got to be careful with Chris Lee.
19 yards on the first reception of the ball game for Chris Lee. Back out, the Lycans come with 3 wide receivers. This time it will be a handoff up the middle for Logan Jack, dragging 2 defenders with him. He gains 5 yards. And let's introduce you to that legend defense of Minnesota. Mark Mello, Angela Meerkat, and Max Knight are the defensive linemen, with Matthew Alvarado, Jason Clay, Shin Yoneda at outside linebacker, with Stephen Black at middle linebacker. Johnny Bravo, Nicholas Frosso, and Cody Griffin are the corners, with Derek Meerkat, Adrian Blaine, and Jubilee Marsh at safety. And off left side, Brennan Stahl gains 3, sets up 3rd and short.
Yeah, and one of the things that LA definitely needs to improve on is to find a way to get that run game going. Logan Jack hasn't had a lot of involvement in the offense, and that might be because of being down so early in a couple of games. But only 28 carries through 3 weeks doesn't look great.
Quick hitter over the middle, nice little in route. Connects with LZ Pryor, and he picks up the first down.
Yeah, and you gotta love connections that Sully gets. We saw this, again, going back to last week, seeing how quickly he connects to his targets, his favorite ones, Pryor and Lee, and getting them involved early in the game.
Couple tight ends on the right side of the formation as Richardson is back to pass. It's deflected at the line, and it will tumble forward down to the turf. They'll say Max Knight got one of his big old mitts up there.
Yeah, it was either Max Knight or Angela Meerkat. There was definitely a 9 in front of that excuse me, in front of that number there, but we couldn't figure out who it was. But nonetheless, great job from the line, at least getting their hands up on the pass attempt.
I formation now on 2nd and 10. Richardson again will drop back to pass. 5-man rush, looking for Pryor near side. Great coverage from Cody Griffin. Still looking for his first interception of the season, comes up with the deflection.
And you have to think that cornerback trio of Cody Griffin, Nicholas Frostel, and Johnny Bravo are going to have their eyes set on the wide receiving core, more specifically on Pryor and Lee, which is going to leave open opportunities for the young guns on that team. Look for Bubba Tree or Darius Iniguez.
Richardson has to get rid of it in double coverage. Nearly taken away by Adrian Blaine, the former Storm, the former champion with the Storm last season. Comes up with a deflection that sets LA down on 3rd down.
Yeah, and Sully's throwing it wild here in this first possession, which, might be playing to their strengths. Already 6 attempts on that drive, which is going to force them to punt this football away. Now it's time to figure out what worked and what didn't.
Out to punt is Sean Landeta. This one's going to be a deep punt left side. Nancy was already there to try and hold up T to Queen. And the Queen will call for a fair catch. And out comes the Minnesota signal caller, Johnny Bravo, averaging 200 yards a game in his first 2 games with Minnesota this season. And really, it hasn't hurt them too much. They're 1-1 on this young season.
No, and right now, a lot of their defense has really worked for them. So Johnny Reno hasn't had to play too spectacularly, but we might see something a little bit different from Reno and company this week.
Johnny Bravo did come up with a pick 6 in week 2, otherwise known as Minnesota's first game of the season, which helped them try and keep that game close. They would end up losing in week 2 as they start off on the ground with a nice run from Colin Hart, only gaining 1. And let's meet the rest of that offense. We just mentioned Colin Hart. He pairs up alongside Isaac Knotts at halfback. Justin Williams is the fullback with Jay Taylor, Deezer Powell, T to Queen, and Craig Nam at wide receiver. Jason France and Robert Hance are the tight ends, and we'll get to the offensive line in a moment. As a quick hitter right side, here comes Powell streaking down the sideline, and he's eventually shoved out of bounds near the 43-yard line.
This was one of the guys, when I was doing my studying coming in, was surprised at the output that he's had through the first 2 games from only 2 receptions and 13 yards. They've had a lot of love for Tita Queen and Jay Taylor through the first 2 weeks. Seeing the lack of Deezer Powell, that was my key thing for Minnesota to really step in offensively, was to get Powell involved. And what a way to get Powell started.
He's closing in on Optimus Klein's tally at 8th all-time, needing over 140 total today to eclipse Optimus. We'll see if he's able to do so tonight. Is a nice run up the middle from Colin Hart, and that's something maybe that this offensive line by Trey Hyman, Alex Raven, Brookie Burr, Dusty Wilson, and Ruthie Raven have envisioned because LA is so weak defending the run.
Yeah, and I think that's what they need to play their strengths for, not only to help them offensively, but to help Colin Hart as well. Through 2 games, he's under 3 yards a carry. This should help his confidence a little bit more.
Single back ace formation as LA try and collapse inside. They do a great job of bottling up Justin Williams. Monte Wyatt there on the stop.
Yeah, and again, trying to trust in that run game has worked for them so far in Minnesota, which has led to a 3rd and short scenario. Very favorable for them. They could go either run or pass. They've got Williams in the back, so they can really power through. Down the middle, I see a gap early on that Justin Williams can run to.
They try and go up the middle with Williams, and LA is there. They back off a little bit, maybe expecting a pass, but collapse quickly. Greg Ward with the stop.
Yeah, very impressive by the linebacking core of LA to recover from expecting a pass, but getting a run instead. And look at this, Minnesota going aggressive early.
Well, back to the line they come. Goal line eye, and they will run right side, and Hart has the first down and a few extra yards. Great play call as LA tried to bite inside.
Yeah, and great aggressiveness from the coaching staff from Minnesota saying, hey, we might be on enemy turf at the moment, but head coach Axel Raven says, I got some cojones to get this team out on 4th and inches.
So the drive stays alive, and they come out with 2 tight ends now near side. Reno looking near side. It's off the hands of Jay Taylor. Great defense by Mike Scott. Let's meet the rest of that Lycan defense. Ace Blackwell, Brogan Spira, Grant Wilstrom, Gary Marks, and Selwyn Lane, and Nick Brummer are all on the defensive line with Rochelle Colston and Greg Ward at linebacker. Tazi Blackwell anchors that front seven at middle linebacker. Mike Scott, TD Jack, and Devontae Moore the corners with Ryan Yosef, Monte White, and Eaton Moss all at safety, and that pass finds the turf as well. Third down.
Interesting one-on-one battle there. That was between Deezer Powell and the converted linebacker in Rochelle Colston on that one-on-one. We remember Colston was a safety at one point, so that's basically safety on receiver. That it turns into a null battle.
Might not be able to go for it on fourth down this time around if they're stuck back here 10 yards from the line to gain. 5:30 to go and ticking as Reno looks over the middle and is caught on a couple of crossing routes, and it's T to Queen that finds the catch and the first.
Yeah, another player that we didn't see a lot of output, through the last game, if I'm not mistaken, but T to Queen getting a very impressive catch. Just, again, crossing patterns, confusing the corners and the safeties and trying to figure out who's going to be that open person. They find the Queen and get the first down.
Just like a couple of receivers from Minnesota. The Queen leads the team in 13. The rest of them, these are Powell and Bam, only 2 receptions, 1 reception respectively. But now things are changing. Powell with already his second grab of that game, and that doubles his season tally.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to this balanced approach that Minnesota is taking for this first drive. 5 passes, 5 runs through this 10-play drive, now at the 11th.
9 defenders in the box here for LA, and they try and go with Hart, who breaks out of 1 and looking for the edge, but great pursuit. Comes down and snuffs out that run after the first down was gained.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to that Lycan defense. They might have allowed that first down, but they gave Cullen Hargett a heck of a time to get that first down.
Tazi Blackwell was the defender that came in hot. We saw Tazi so much in that game last week versus Atlanta, is now Knox. Back up tailback, gets the call, and the rookie, the leading rusher in the minor league last season, gets his first call tonight.
Yeah, not a great transition to start off for the first 2 games, only 5 carries for 16 yards, but he's going to have a lot of lessons learned playing behind Colin Hart.
4-man rush, Reno middle, and he just overshoots his intended target. Incomplete. Yosef there to knock it down. Third down again here for Minnesota.
I would almost disagree with that. Quag Mam was in the right spot and could have caught that, but a last-second hit from the defender pushed Quag Mam's hands down and forced it out of the way.
Third and 6 here for Minnesota in the red zone. 1 of 2 on third down. They do have a fourth down conversion. 5-man rush. Reno right side. Caught. Jay Taylor walks in. Touchdown, Minnesota legend.
Beautiful route ran by Jay Taylor. It was just smooth all the way around. It wasn't a full out route. It was like a transitioning out route, and you'll see it here. He kind of turns things right at the end just when Devontae Moore wasn't expecting it, which led to the open space, and he just trusted on his legs for that last 3 yards to get to the end zone. Perfectly done by the wide receiver.
A fantastic 14-play drive for the legend. 85 yards in total, and it took a whole chunk of clock off, over 4 minutes taken off this clock, as the extra point from Mickey Malillo is up and good. 4 minutes, 5 seconds the total time of possession as Minnesota strike first here in California. If you're new to the Simulation Football League, welcome. The SFL is football for everyone. Get off the sideline and start your player today by joining our Discord server at simulationfl.net. Click the Join the Community button and begin your career, or just to meet the stars of the SFL on and off the field. It's never too late to get involved. Here comes a very solid return for Iniguez. Runs all the way up the left-hand side, gets beyond the 30-yard line, and now the backup tailback for Minnesota, Michael Bennett, will have to leave the football field.
Yeah, and Bennett's one of those, squeaky guys that could get in a given situation for Minnesota if Knox can't get his proper runs in. So having that one guy out may not be as earth-shattering, but still, any loss is a big loss.
See if they put Knox or Hart now on special teams duties as a replacement. Might get, who knows? Maybe something crazy will happen. Knox or Hart pick up a loose ball, return that to the house. We'll see what happens. Run near side here for Logan Jack on first down. Gains nothing as one of the two Meerkats, that's Derek Meerkat, the Derek Meerkat version, brings him down to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, one of the things LA desperately needs to do here is to get that run game going. Coming into this game, second last in rush yards per game at only 86. They need to get that involved so they can balance their offense.
I formation, two wide receivers, and Richardson will send Pryor in motion near side. It will be a passing play. Richardson looking for Pryor. Pryor catches it near midfield. Worked to perfection.
And man, you could see the open space that Pryor had as well. It's just the transition on the run. You can tell from Cody Griffin that he wasn't quite ready for Pryor just to run that straight route right away. He was expecting some type of turn later on so that he could catch up to it, which led to the Pryor catch.
I'd almost say he was looking for maybe more of a go route, not a corner route, in which Pryor had run, which leads to LA setting up on their own 49-yard line for this fresh set of downs. Screen pass near side. Jack gets a block, and he forces a defender into the turf and gains 3 yards on the screenplay.
Yeah, and anything that'll help that run game going, even if it includes the swing passes down the field, you got to get Logan Jack going because that's going to help your offense. So great work, at least getting a couple yards on the swing pass.
Now LA come out in another I formation. This time they will run out of it. Up the gut goes Brennan Stahl, and he gains maybe 4 yards on the give. So that'll set up 3rd and 3 with just over 2 to go here in the first quarter action. Offset eye now behind Richardson. He will look to pass. Just needs 3. Has time. Fires near side. Can't haul it in. Was looking for Tommy Rahman, who has yet to come up with a reception this season. He's going to have to wait a little bit more to get one.
And that might be the only target Tommy Rahman gets as well, because we've started to see a trend. It's mostly Jack Flash that gets the touches for the passing game. Rahman maybe gets 1 or 2 looks per game, so that might be it from him in the game if any prediction proves right.
Punt is away from Landeta, and it looks like it's going to go out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. A decent punt. We'll see where they mark it, probably near the 17-yard line as Minnesota's offense retakes the field.
Yeah, and Minnesota's key here is to start blowing this game wide open if they can, because we've seen a history of LA. They haven't come back from big deficits yet in this early season. So if you can start blowing things open in the first quarter, it's going to bring some ease to both sides of the field.
Reno will pass on first down. Flips it out right side as Colin Hart is going to lose a yard. Tazzy Blackwell, we saw her run all over the countryside last week in Atlanta, and she's doing that same type of yeoman's work here tonight.
Not only was it an impressive pursuit, but great awareness from Blackwell to stay in the vicinity of Hart on the swing pass.
Reno again will pass on second down. No, he takes it off and run in the
wide open
part of the middle of the field. Just a gaping hole for Reno. First down, Minnesota.
Man, I know we're nowhere near their location, but that must have felt like the Grand Canyon for Johnny Reno to run through. As that pocket breaks down a little bit, so he gets a little complacent, starts running, and why not? There was wide open space, easy first down for Reno.
That defensive line maybe just collapsed more inside. Maybe that forces Reno a little bit more hesitancy to take off and run, but the offensive line does a great job of creating that hole for Reno in a passing situation. And it's another first down, new fresh set of downs, and they run here with Hart on first down. He picks up 6.
And again, continuing the balance that they want to have approach in this game. Get the pass going, then get the run going. Right now, the pass turned into a run, so they got 2 runs that really got them 20 yards already through the first 2 plays.
Very quick moving first quarter. We are approaching the end of it. Just about 30 seconds to go here in quarter number 1, and it'll be a run on second down, and nothing doing this time around. Knox gets a taste of SFL love as Ward brings him down behind the line.
Yeah, and LA's key here is to turn that offense into something one-dimensional, and right now, have to trust in that pass game. Despite Reno being 5 of 8 to start off this first quarter, you're going to find mistakes sooner or later.
Potentially the final play of the quarter. Reno will look to throw over the middle, dropped. I think that's great defense there by Logan Jack. It's 4th and 6. GD Jack, excuse me.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jacks out there, a lot of Blackwells. You got Meerkats in there as well, so it's hard to keep track of things. But great work from TD Jack to get that deflection and get a stop. That was the thing that they couldn't get in the Atlanta game, was stops. But getting a stop in the first quarter definitely changes momentum for things.
And so here comes Mini Malillo to punt this one away. Clock will expire here in the first quarter. Zaniguez brings it up to the 29-yard line and will be stopped right there as quarter 1 does come to a close. 7-0 Minnesota. Can the Lycans respond after forcing the Minnesota offense off the field? You're watching SFL football on YouTube. With Justin Raside, Damon Simmons, Stats, and Cameron Irvine in production, I'm Tyler Falk, joined in the booth alongside Brett Solberg. We are happy to have your company here this Sunday evening. Happy February, everybody. Hopefully your February is kicking off well, and 2024 is also going well. Right now, the stats for LA, they're a bit hit or miss, and as we've seen mostly throughout the season, passing yards leads their rushing yards tallies. Let's see what second quarter brings to us. Richardson dump off underneath Cox for a gain of 4. That's Pryor.
And it feels like they continue to play into their strengths, which right now, for the first 3 games in a quarter now, has been their pass game. Give Sully 5 of 10 now through this first quarter and 1 play, which any quarterback will take on a good day, especially Christian Brown. I wish Christian Brown could do that for us.
Can Brown do it for you? And unfortunately, and to save my partner some headache, we won't talk about Vancouver's fortunes.
You better not.
A certain team from Ohio. Run up the middle is Iniguez. And the wide receiver picks up a couple more yards. Adrian Blaine with the stop.
Yeah, and we've seen this wrinkle in their run game throughout the season, getting Iniguez involved because he is that speedster, but he's got to have open space from both the first and second level of defense, and most of the time they don't get it, but they still get a couple yards out of it.
They gained 4 on first down, 2 on second down. Hopefully they don't gain another half and don't gain just 1 yard here on third. Screenplay right side.
More than that.
There's Logan Jack, and that screenplay early has worked out pretty nicely here for LA. It's a gain of nearly 7 and another LA first down.
Yeah, the big key for swing passes is that you want to have space between your running back that you're passing it to and the field of play, which he had enough of to get that first down.
First downs for both teams right around equal here in the early goings. Minnesota with 5 first downs. LA now with 4. And they keep another drive going. Handoff. Brennan Stahl running left side and still churning. And he will gain a good chunk of yards all the way up for a total of 8.
Yeah, right now, Brendan Stahl is looking a little bit better in the run game than Logan Jack has. Now up to 15 yards on 3 carries, and that is just smart, a veteran move in terms of trying to stretch the ball out to the sidelines to get extra yards, and getting 8 on first down is very impressive.
A great shot from Brennan Stahl, who's only averaging about 10.3 yards a game. And just already, he's showing up a little bit tonight. Maybe LA have found something in the running game tonight as they go with Jack, and Jack only gains a yard. Maybe they start looking more toward the rookie here in the running game partner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they approach this, because Jack is getting stalled, at least in this first little bit of the game. And Brennan Stahl has found open spaces to get big yards so far.
Heavy looking set on 3rd and short. They will run right side. It's Iniguez who picks up the first down, rolling over the defender Griffin and moving the chains.
Yeah, right now, LA's drive has been a lot of nickel and diming to get first downs. They're trying to repeat what Minnesota did to them, make a long drive out of this, and try to get some points.
This is only the second meeting of the two, and it's also the second meeting which has taken place here in Lycanthrope. Minnesota won that first contest by a decent chunk of points, and here comes Jack, who runs up here on first down, who gains 3 yards. And going back to that first game, it took place in season 20, week 2 of that season, and Minnesota won 38-27, margin of victory 11. And LA trying to change their fortunes, not just in this early tilt with Minnesota, but their fortunes this season.
Yeah, and I think what a lot happened in that last season game was Johnny Reno getting really involved. I hope LA's looking to stop him this time.
Iniguez, another give, another 8 yards. Wide receiver in the halfback role, working pretty nicely here for LA.
Yeah, I think they're starting to see like the same thing that Carolina's seeing out of Harish Prasad, that he can give you that burst of speed through that initial line, which is getting you positive yardage. And at the end of the day, positive yardage is still positive yardage.
Another give for Iniguez, and he is becoming the workhorse on the ground. Picks up another good chunk of yards, and it's another LA first down.
Well, and they'll keep going to Iniguez if it means that he's going to get first downs for them. That's the second first down now for Iniguez in a row to get LA move the chains.
They go back to a traditional back Jack, and he is stood up behind the line. A loss of 1.
And again, you can see the struggle starting to happen for Logan Jack. It feels like Minnesota has keyed in on at least stopping the run game and forcing mistakes from Sully Richardson. But right now, they're continuing to just push this ball down on the ground.
The former Aztec, Matthew Alvarado, got this tackle before, and now Minnesota collapse again. They weren't fooled on the delayed handoff, and Mark Mello takes him down.
That is one way to tell an opposing team, okay, we're forcing you to pass on 3rd down. Get a stop right after the handoff. Great work from Mello to pass the offensive line.
Here comes the pass. Richardson tries to take off, and down he goes. Mello takes him down. They'll say he got forward progress, and that will force a very dicey field goal attempt potentially. No, they'll punt it with Landon.
Yeah, I don't think they have the trust in Jostle Black to make it. They want to keep it perfect this season. He is 7-7, so I don't mind LA trying to punt this baby deep, but I would aim for inside the 10 if he can.
Indeed, he'll try and punt it right side. They're going to let it bounce at the 15. It takes a Lycan bounce and continues to roll up the sideline. Excellent punt, which will roll out of bounds at the 6-yard line.
Impressive work, not only to have that football not bounce out of bounds right afterwards, but from LA special teams, you just to let it roll until it gets as far as possible. And look at that. Minnesota, 95 yards to the end zone now.
Here comes first down, Reno. Motions Deezer Powell off the line. They will try and run up the guts, and stuffing. The tailback is Rochelle Colston. No gain.
Yeah, you got to focus on those linebackers when it comes to inside runs, because what we're seeing a lot this season is this line fanning out a little bit, keeping that middle open so the linebackers can just race right through.
Give him a 1 yard upon further review. Another run for Hart. Another gain of maybe minimal yardage. Blackwell there on the stop. I don't blame Minnesota for being a little bit more conservative here, backed up in their own end zone.
Yeah, but now it might be, again, opposite side, forcing their hand again. They might have to pass out of this 3rd down play just to get a first.
Dime look out of LA as Minnesota go 4 wide. They will run up the middle with Hart. He'll gain his way up to the 10-yard line. Blackwell brings them down, and that's as best you can do for the Lycan defense.
Yeah, and that's tough for Minnesota because you know you want to make some momentum if you can. Now LA stopped you twice in a row, and depending on how this punt goes, it might the Lycans might be in a favorable position.
Minnie Malillo from her own end zone sends this one away. It'll be a good little return here from Iniguez. He goes straight up the gut, and he'll cross midfield into Minnesota territory at the 44-yard line. Liking the game so far? Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There is no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLM action and help the channel grow through your support. It's a bit of a punt-a-palooza, says Justin Reside from the stats truck. We'll see if LA can change fortunes here. 3 minutes, 21 seconds to go. Richardson rolling back and hasn't done. Dutleach deep down the middle looking for Chris Lee. And unlike the game in Atlanta, Lee's only had a reception tonight.
Yeah, and he hasn't been looked upon all that much in comparison. At this point last week, he already had about 8 or 9 targets towards him. He's only had 5 in this game, which is showing Sully's trying to balance things out. But he threw a laser in which Lee wasn't ready for.
And right now, Elsie Pryor seems the more reliable target, catching 3 of his 4 targets, as Richardson again will throw, and that's a beautiful tip pass by Jason Clay, the outside linebacker.
Yeah, and that looked like a foregone conclusion. Elsie Pryor was going to get that catch, get a first down for LA, and it was a last-second tip as the arc of the ball was going down. Was great work from Jason Clay, like you said, deflect it, force a third down. We're probably going to get 3 throws in a row from Richardson.
Third play of the drive in LA, looking to maybe not squander this golden opportunity. Deep shot. Oh my goodness, Logan Jack! Are you kidding me? Pulls a rabbit out of his hat. Touchdown, Lycans!
You know that first drill as a quarterback when you're growing up, you're trying to throw a football through the hole of a tire? That's exactly what we saw on that play to Logan Jack. Running through as it was going back, you could see Derek Meerkat trying to get in there, just not the right position, and it goes right into the breadbasket of Logan Jack, playing on that wide receiver slot position, getting a touchdown. Breath of life for LA's offense, which has fell so flat in this second quarter, gets them within 1 point.
Here comes Zoshtel Black to tack home the extra point. Snap spot kick is up and it is good. And we have a tie ball game with 3 minutes, 5 seconds to go here in the second quarter. It's 7-7.
Man, what a turnaround on that drive as well. It felt like the pass game was just not going to work for LA, and then boom, lightning in a bottle in the form of Sully to Jack. What a great pass.
Now here comes a return here from Minnesota. It's Queg Mam, and he will continue to push his way forward up to the 32-yard line. And for the first time this evening, we send it over to SFL headquarters for a game break with our commissioner, Cameron Irvine.
Thank you, Tyler. Atlanta's in San Diego tonight. Hunter McWaffle tired. The second string back is hurt, so the third string back comes in, gets a touchdown for the Mavericks, all tied at 7 there, too, towards the end of the first quarter. Back to you in L.A.
Well, if we were in Las Vegas here, Brett, we're seeing all 7s. I think we just hit a jackpot or 20.
Ooh, we'd be raking it in, especially after my Carolina prediction, too. I'd be a millionaire.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you better go out and buy yourself a lottery ticket tonight, Brett. Handoff up the middle as Hart can barely find his way through. Great second effort to gain 5 yards.
Yeah, and you got to have second efforts from your running backs because a lot of these defenses are starting to approach this where they need to hit the running back as early as possible. If they get behind the line, gives them a good chance to get no gain. But getting the second effort from the running backs are going to be key moving forward, especially for Colin Hart.
From their own 37, handoff up the middle, Knox gains maybe a yard. He's taken down by Brummer.
Yeah, and again, trusting in that run game to get you a short down scenario on third down, but Minnesota needs to be pressured into getting them pressure themselves into passing that ball more a little bit, especially when it comes to these third and medium, 3rd and 4.
Split backfield, 2 wide receivers to Reno's left, and he will be back to pass. Pass is incomplete. Looking for a shoestring catch out of Deezer Powell. Couldn't haul it in, and that will set up a 4th down.
Yeah, and again, I think LA is doing the right job just kind of pushing Minnesota into a passing scenario. I don't think Reno was ready for it on this 3rd down. He threw it a little low on Powell as well, so I think there was just a little bit of miscommunication and Reno not being ready to pass.
3rd consecutive punt in consecutive drives for Minnesota as Iniguez calls for a fair catch inside his 20-yard line. That brings us to the 2-minute warning and a fast-moving first half here from Lycanthrope Lair. We'll step aside for a quick second, and it's 2 minutes to go. LA 7, Minnesota 7. And we welcome you back to Double L Lycanthrope Lair here in Los Angeles, California. Tyler Falk and Brett Solberg on the call as we welcome you back. 1 minute 59 seconds to go here for LA to maybe get their first lead of the contest as Richardson has to get rid of it. It falls out of his hands.
Wow.
And one of the linemen jump on it for LA, and they are breathing a huge sigh of relief.
That was a perfectly timed hit by the defensive lineman coming in. Mark Mello once again just perfectly timed as Sully was cocking his arm back, and the booth is going to see if this hand moved forward before the fumble happened. I think Mello got it like picture perfect, but we'll see with his retroactive look.
And so we take a retroactive look at the play presented by Retroid. Get your SFL console at GoRetroid.com. Here it is. This is going to be tight.
Oh, it's so close. I can't even guess at this point.
Was the arm going forward down to the referee? And they will say just by fractions of milliseconds that arm was moving forward, and so it will not be a strip sack. It will be an incomplete pass.
You know, it's interesting. We see these in, different leagues where it has to be beyond reasonable doubt for the call to be overturned. I don't think there was enough doubt, in my personal opinion, to change that. But nonetheless, LA gets a little bit of a breather.
And the clock was now stopped at 1:55 as play resumes. Richardson over the middle. A bone-shattering hit on Chris Lee jars the ball free.
Man, it was Johnny Bravo that came in like a speeding train, going right for the hip. Oh my goodness, I could feel that in my bones.
And I don't think I'd be able to get up after that. Chris Lee hops right back to his feet and is now near side in the middle of those trio of defenders here on 3rd and 10. Richardson back to pass, 3-man rush, and it's just overshot for Chris Lee. It's an easy swat aside from Adrian Blaine, and LA will be forced to punt.
And I think Adrian Blaine was trying to get a little bit fancy, trying to get a one-handed interception out of it, but it'll look that way to be a pass deflection, just kind of swat that ball away. But nonetheless, Minnesota is going to get this ball back still with a 2-minute drill offense.
LA has one drive inside Minnesota side of the field. Does Minnesota get a drive started inside LA's side of the field? And yes, they will. A solid little return there from T to Queen will set up shop for Minnesota at the LA 46-yard line.
Extremely favorable position with the $1:36 left in the second quarter. You only have to get, maybe 15, 20 yards to get yourself a favorable field goal position. So really, keep that clock running so you give yourself a lead at halftime.
8 men in the box here for LA. Here on first down. Reno taking his time. It'll be a handoff for Hart, and Hart goes nowhere, losing another yard in the process.
And LA has been shoring up that run game as of recently. you look at the last couple of drives that Minnesota has had and has not been great. 3 run plays for 3 yards, 2 run plays for 6 yards, and now this one starts off with negative yardage.
Reno, 5-step drop. He's hit as he throws, and it's nearly taken away. Mike Scott was sniffing at that duck after it was deflected.
Man, and that was hunting season for the line as they really collapsed that pocket from Reno. And right when he got hit, it was that ball flying through the air, waiting for someone to catch it, and no one does.
Rogan Spira came off the end to disrupt the pass. And that sets up 3rd and maybe half the distance to go through downtown in Los Angeles as Reno, looking left side, somehow finds Deezer Powell, and they will convert on 3rd down.
A giant pile of Minnesota and LA players on that right side, but just past that 1st down marker was a wide open Deezer Powell. Reno had no other choice than to throw it to him. Smart move by the Minnesota offense.
And while LA was around this same distance to the field goal, they punted. Does Minnesota have maybe a bit more distance? But that pass will make a field goal possible, even more likely as the nice little quick hitter near side, Dina Queen, another Minnesota 1st down.
Now again, crossing routes that are, paying dividends for the Minnesota offense. We've seen it a couple times in this game now. Finding the Queen on the outside and getting extra run for that 1st down. Like you said, in comfortable field goal position now for Mickey Malillo, and they've got time to waste still.
From the 23-yard line, Reno sending Jay Taylor in motion near side. He'll now have trips in that direction. Reno, quick drop, tries to Oh no! TD Jack is going to look for a TD all himself, but here comes Deezer Powell on his heels. Does Jack
He's got it. He's got it.
He's going to get it! TD Jack gets the pick 6 for Los Angeles.
You want to talk about awesome puns? I got one for you here. Jack of all trades for the 2nd quarter in LA. Logan Jack gets you a receiving touchdown to get yourself back in this game. And how about to end this 2nd quarter with TD Jack getting yourself a 90-yard pick 6, baby. See you later. LA's got the lead.
She got it done. And that is TD Jack's 1st career pick 6. She has done a fantastic job. 2nd interception of the season. And it gives LA their 1st lead of the night. Snap spot. Kick is up and it is good. 14-7. Los Angeles with the lead.
Man, what a turnaround for LA here, down. Taking the 1st score from Minnesota and stopping them by any means necessary. Minnesota has not had a scoring drive since their 1st one. LA has shown up defensively in this 1st half.
Oh, and here come all the puns and jabs at Eddie Gage. Doug Day, we thank you for the reference. And there we go, a nice little return from Craig Mam. With 40 seconds to go, now Minnesota only have 1 timeout and are down by 7. Might they be conservative to end the half here, partner, or might they try and enact a little bit of revenge on this drive?
It all depends on how the first couple plays run, because if you can get yourself to midfield in about 15 seconds, then you'll be fine to go. But with 1 timeout left, it's really playing against them. I would just settle by going to the locker room and seeing what you can adjust.
They'll line up in an I formation, but we'll be back to pass. Blitz coming. Quick hitter over the middle, looking for Jason France. Can't find him. Incomplete.
Yeah, that's a tough one, too, because they're looking to go aggressive early. But again, another pass deflection, and it's really quick turnaround for Johnny Reno to try to forget that 82-yard pick 6 and try to get that out of his mind. So getting him to throw on 1st down, I don't know if that's the right decision.
Offset eye here on 2nd down. Again, gonna pass. Again, LA's gonna blitz, and this time,
boy,
behind the defense.
Oh, no way!
Behind TD Jack.
No
and
way!
It's still going inside the 10. Deezer Powell strikes back for Minnesota. Oh my goodness. We got a back and forth 2-minute warning special.
This is why you pay the big bucks to the all-star receivers, trying to lure them out of different teams. Deezer Powell has had history with other teams in this league, but hasn't gotten far in terms of playoff appearances. But now he comes into Minnesota, hasn't had a great start through the first 2 games, but this is why you pay him the big bucks. He has that change of pace that you can't get from a lot of other receivers. Says TD Jack, you might have gotten a pick 6, but I'm just going to shed my way around you and get myself an 80-plus yard touchdown myself.
First receiving touchdown for a Minnesota player other than T. DeQueen. And also, that will tie up the football game, 14 apiece. These are Powell, Jay Taylor. Now have touchdowns. Before it was just T. DeQueen this season. 26 seconds to go here in the half. There's still plenty of time for LA to do something here on offense. And maybe here on special teams as well. We know how fast Iniguez is, and he tries to hand it right outside. But is taken down his own 28-yard line. Let's go to Cameron Irvine back in studio for another game break.
Thank you, Tyler. Trickeration on the goal line here for Johnny Pickler and the Mavericks in a 10-7 game. Play action, roll out, and then Pickler going to take it himself and slides into the end zone. San Diego takes a 14-10 lead. Back to you in LA.
It looked like Pickler was playing for the Padres or something as he slides into home for a score there. Good game going here. Good game going there. It's a great night of SFL action. We had LA's game, or we had Carolina and Alamo City going to overtime. The first block. Now we've got a lot of blows being traded here. Logan Jack gains 7 as LA will just look to win out the remainder of this clock, partner, and send us to halftime. 14 apiece here between both these clubs, and we've got a game that we wanted, partner. This looks like it's going to be a good game for all 40 minutes.
Man, you have to say the last 2 minutes of this second quarter felt like the same length as the first 8 minutes of the second quarter, with the action that was brought in by both sides. The TD Jack pick 6 from 80-plus yards out, and then a quick response from Minnesota after that with Deezer Powell responding in kind is exactly what the doctor ordered for Minnesota, because they couldn't score after their first drive, and they punted 3 straight times before the pick 6. So it was good to see Minnesota get back on track there. Both offenses are looking pretty good. Minnesota at 207, Los Angeles at 143. Again, we're going to go back to the defense. This is the battle of who's going to stop their key players now. Deezer Powell's got himself involved with that huge 72-yarder, and now he's got himself over 120 yards just in this half. So there's got to be confidence in him. Minnesota's probably going to look at it. So again, look at TD Jack, look at Devontae Moore, look at Ryan Yosef on the strong safety side to stop those key passes.
Deezer Powell now 18 yards away from surpassing Optimus Klein for 8th all time. We'll see if he gets it here in the second half as we welcome you back to Lycanthrope Lair here in Los Angeles, California. Tyler Falk and Brett Solberg on the call. Justin Raside and Damon Simeon in the stats truck with Cameron Irvine producing as we are back and underway here for half number 2 here in week 4 of the SFL in the opening half kickoff. Will be taken back for an E by Quake Mam, and out comes Minnesota to begin the second half. They came away with a nice 72-yard strike to Deezer Powell on their last offensive drive near the end of the first half. What can they do now here to begin half number 2?
I'd say if you're Minnesota, go back to basics. Balance your drive out. Get Colin Hart involved.
Reno booking right side. TD Jack shoots her hand up there and swats it aside.
Yeah, and sometimes you forget how tall these corners can be. And TD Jack, she sometimes feels like a league of her own when it comes to height. 6'4" for a corner. That's tough to find in a league like this.
Have to add a little extra touch on the football just to get it over her. Now it's 2nd and 10. 3 wideouts here for Reno and the rest of the Legend offense. Nickel look out of LA to counter this 3 wide receiver look. Reno will pass. Rolling near side, pressure from behind, gets rid of it, finds Jay Taylor beyond the 40-yard line, as that will move the chains for the Legend.
Excellent patience work from Johnny Reno just to see where his targets were going to be. Then seeing a wide open Jay Taylor past the second level of defense and getting right in front of what looked to be Mike Scott on the coverage to get that catch.
Back to the line they come. Second play of the drive is an I formation look out of the Legend. 8 men in the box here for LA. Handoff, right side, Hart. On one of his better runs today, gains, they're only going to say he gained a yard as Yosef brings him down.
Yeah, and again, LA's focus is to stop Colin Hart and force the hand of Johnny Reno to throw the football, see if he can make another mistake like he did late in the second quarter. And I don't mind that approach, because if they can stop the run game, like I said, the key is to make that team one-dimensional, makes your life a lot easier.
Corner blitz coming, pass right side off of the shoulder pad for Tita Queen. It looked like they were trying to bend lower for a pass that they expected to go near their ankles. Unfortunately, went too low.
Yeah, and again, you're thinking about those passes that Reno is throwing at this point, and he's thrown it low a couple times now, which is a little bit concerning. Now you just got to raise that bar a little bit for you.
4 wideouts on 3rd down. Reno hit as he releases. Incomplete. Nick Brummer was the man to get to Reno and force a 4th down.
Yeah, and that was a wrap tackle as well from Brummer. So right near the end, just throws Reno to the ground, saying, yeah, your time is up, buddy. And Minnesota, just like that, punts the football away to Minnesota punts the football away to LA.
Mini out there to work again. It's a decent punt as Iniguez. It's a short little return. 19 gets the ball up to the 19 as Sully Richardson and company come back to the field of play for this drive. As we talked about the beginning of the game here, partners, Richardson he's thrown for an average of 39 pass attempts a game, currently sitting at 17 tonight, and under 50% completion percentage, 7 of 17.
Which was less than last week. He had 25 in the first half in the Atlanta game, so he's starting to throw it a little bit less as we see a run for 8 yards for Logan Jack, one of his more successful runs of the evening easily. But yeah, we're seeing more runs from LA, which is really helping out. Logan Jack now on his 8th carry, which is going to help things, spread out on offense.
Already around 43 rushing yards, about 50 rushing yards in total tonight. And we've got Iniguez, who's also helped out as he gains another 1st down. And that is something we have wanted to see a lot more of, partners. LA's rushing attack, can it complement Richardson? And it looks like tonight they may have just found a solution to the rushing game problem.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's been a little bit too focused on Jack, that Iniguez is getting these opportunities.
Pass nearly intercepted, looking for Flash, but Flash turned the wrong way in the pass.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you see one of the reasons why they might be running the ball as well is looking at Sully Richardson's last 10 pass attempts. Yes, one of them did go for a touchdown, but you see those X's right around them as well. He's only one of his last 6.
Second and 10. They try and go back to the air here. With an 8 men in the box look here out of Minnesota. Be hard pressed to try and run against it. And so they will pass. Screen pass near side. Logan Jack up the sideline, looking for a lane, gains a good chunk of yards, and he'll set his offense up with a much more manageable 3rd down.
Yeah, that swing pass has been fairly successful for LA through this game. We've seen it convert 1st downs from a 3rd and medium. It's turned 2nd and long to 3rd and short. It's been pretty good for them so far.
3rd and 4, Richardson can't find Chris Lee or Jack Flash. and it brings up another punting situation.
Extremely tight coverage from the Minnesota secondary and the linebacking core to cover Jack Flash, like you said before. And just like that, we're back to the Justin Reside Puntapalooza, like he loved to say earlier in the game. 2 straight punts to start off this second half.
Landed again with his 5th punt of the ball game. And nothing doing on the return. Great pursuit from Devontae Moore on the potential return. No gain. That'll set up the Lycans around their 25-yard line. Have you ever wanted to be a play-by-play or analyst broadcaster? We are looking for passionate SFL participants or viewers like you to join the team for the next minor league season kicking off in just a few months. Please visit simulationfl.net/broadcasting for more details on how you can get involved and get your voice on the call. Colin Hart gets the give here to begin the drive, and that will gain 5 yards.
Yeah, and I think that's all that Minnesota really needs from Colin Hart at this stage of the game. Get them in medium and short down situations on 2nd and 3rd down. Give them a little bit more favorable position. But right now, the focus for Minnesota, it may be to get back to that first drive. Nickel and dime it, extend your drive as long as possible.
Mike Deggs, you're already the broadcast director. You could always just schedule yourself for every single game and leave none for the rest of us, but you gratefully schedule all of us for occasional broadcast times here and there as the run to the right side goes for minimal yards.
You think if he, shaved his facial hair, he'd look like a completely different person, and then he can call himself like Mark Deggs or something like that, just to pass it?
I wouldn't even recognize him without his patented goatee. Here on 3rd down, Reno has to get rid of it, and it's just almost like a broken record. He's just had no time to throw the football tonight.
Yeah, it's that pressure from the outside edge, which has really worked for LA because it's closing the pocket for Reno, which again, like you said, is forcing his hand to throw it earlier than he wants to. And just like that, not 2, but now 3 punts in a row to start off the second half.
It's going to be the Mini Malolo Sean Landeta Puntapalooza-thon here coming soon as Iniguez gets the short return up to the 34-yard line. Now will we see LA come out on offense and try to start another drive, which ends in points for us?
I think for certain games this week, we had like a severe under in terms of punts. So these two teams got an advantage, got like buy one, get one free on your punts in this game.
Look at just the total yards this half. Both teams combined have less than 50. Richardson, another screen pass. This time it's Iniguez who has all that speed.
Uh-oh.
Flag coming. It might be an unintentional face mask, but we'll see what the ref calls it.
I was thinking block from the back there because we saw it just on that tail end, and that might be it.
Oh, that is. I saw the hand come up after the defender got hit from behind, so I thought it was maybe intentional. Instead, they're just going to call the block in the back, and unfortunately for Owen Wiles,
yeah, there it is.
It's just going to be a little bit too much hand fighting.
Yeah, too little too late from Wilds as well. Trying to get to Jason Clay. He knows that he got beat, so he's just trying to get any pressure he can, and then he just decides to push him from behind. And there you see the 15-yard loss, 1st and 25.
Wow, how rare is this of a down and distance here in the SFL? It's almost like LA is going to have to cross the entire county to try and get a first down. They start with a run up the middle. That gains maybe a couple yards for Jalen Wells. Jalen's first carry of the ball game from the fullback spot.
Yeah, and you know what? A run is a pretty good decision on first down, despite it being 25 yards out, because I don't think Minnesota were fully ready for it, which led to the 3-yard gain. But now you see this empty set. They're probably going to go pass and pass.
Richardson with time, looking middle. It's off the helmet of Chris Lee. It just hasn't been Lee's night tonight.
No, he's been well covered by the secondary of Minnesota. It felt like he was just focused in terms of training, in terms of film, and it's just been a rough going for Chris Lee. Now 1 reception on 9 targets.
Third down's been an issue for both sides. LA with the better average of the two, sitting at 50%. 3rd and long, they're just going to run with it with Jalen Wells and just take their medicine. And it'll be yet another punt upcoming.
That's a great analogy there. Take your medicine, just like a 6-year-old kid trying to avoid the stinky medicine, as I remember calling it. Buckley's was I hated Buckley's when I was a kid. Jeez, the worst tasting one. But that's part of their slogan. It tastes awful, but it works. Ad.
There we go. Just about the halfway point here in the third quarter. Punt is away. Good little return here from the Queen. She gets it up to the 39-yard line. That's where Minnesota take over, as we're now into drive number 5 of this half. And while the first half moved along quite nicely, things have kind of stalled out here in half number 2.
I was just going to say, remember when you said this first half just breezed through, and now we're like 15 minutes into this second half, and we're only 5 minutes in the third quarter?
Delayed handoff. Justin Williams powers his way for 8 yards, and it's almost like they want us to talk more about broadcasting, talk more about some of these blocks that are allowing Justin Williams to get forward.
Yeah, and right now that one worked to a T, and it was basically power work from Williams to get 3 extra yards. So it was a combination of a good line and a good power back to get yourself the 8 yards.
Offset eye behind Reno. Might we have our first down in 4 drives? We will. Hart, near side, gets out of a would-be tackler and is dragged down to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, good run from Colin Hart, trying to find an open hole, and he does, and very tight line to follow, like you'll see here. Decent blocking from what we saw was 43 coming in to kind of get that little extra push, a little bit of extra open space for Hart, and that would help to get that first down, and it was just a full run from Colin Hart afterwards.
That was the backup fullback, Mark Edwards. There on the nice little block to spring Hart free as a 5-man rush coming. Reno, near side, one-handed snag, chasing France for 4 yards. And even though it's a 4-yard gain, partner, I'm calling it now. That's our nice hands catch of the game, brought to you by Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K23.
Been a rough night for Jason France so far. That was his first catch on his 3rd target. Great way to get your first catch.
Try and run near side on a little bit of a trap play, and it goes nowhere. LA's defense sniffed that one out.
Yeah, that trap play turned into a trap for Minnesota themselves, as LA had that fully covered, had all their ducks in a row, got their defensive players to break through the line and get basically Hart right at the line.
Empty backfield, 5 wideouts. Here on 3rd down. From the 31-yard line, 4-man rush. Reno, middle, caught. The Queen, Minnesota first down.
Man, and this is important first downs moving forward, as we've seen the dragging third quarter it has been, but now getting first downs and basically getting to red zone territory is going to be key moving forward if it continues on this pace. Now Minnesota has their first chance in the red zone in the second half.
This play will tie the longest of the half for a drive. 6 played. This will be the 6th play of the drive. Under 2:50 to go here in quarter number 3. Heavy blitz coming. Reno has to get rid of it. Finds Hart out of the backfield, and Hart races. Nice little spin. Blackwell. See you later. Touchdown, Minnesota.
Man, what a spin move from Colin Hart to get past the lone defender on the left side of the field. It was straight one-on-one, and we'll see a better angle from here. Just trying to get past Tazzy Blackwell, and one spin move does it. Open field to the left, end zone, money, 6 on the board for Minnesota.
Filthy, absolute filth from Hart, all Hart, as they cry in Minnesota, and that sees them go back on top here on the road. Extra point from Mickey Malillo goes up and good, and we've seen plenty of Minnie. We get to see Mickey get some action done. 21-14, Minnesota with that 7-point lead.
Would you say filthy with a PH?
Maybe. Maybe, just a little bit. Right now, Hart has a PhD in spin move. There we go. Iniguez with the knee down in his own end zone. And now LA down by 7 will start this drive on their own 20.
And the biggest thing for LA is you have to forget last week. Get a response from your offense. Minnesota has struck you with a blow. Can you give them a response, a counterpunch, to say the least?
Foregoing the end of half drive of the first half, they have punted 3 times in a row. Jack gains 1 on first down.
Yeah, and the focus for Minnesota on the other side is to not get LA going. They've done well to stop them, like you said. 3 punts has forced them into a situation where they've got to get more creative offensively, and now the defense has to be creative as well.
4 wide receivers here for Richardson. 3-2 dime look out of Minnesota, and getting in the backfield quickly is the Legend defense.
What a great job from Matthew Alvarado. Just to look at how that play was going to transpire, didn't rush into things, and just gets himself the tackle. Saw the gap open, get to Jack early.
Richardson on 3rd down now. Needs 10 yards and nearly connected with Iniguez. The ball flies out of the sideline, and it'll be the 4th punt in a row for Los Angeles.
The struggles continue in this 3rd quarter for LA. Now Sully's 1 of 5 in the 3rd quarter for passes. The run game has been, it's felt non-existent to this point. Only, get this, 4 yards in the 3rd quarter on runs.
Here comes the return from the Queen. The Queen gets hit. And only a minimal gain up to the 44-yard line. That's where Minnesota take over. Last week in the game versus Atlanta, LA gave up a impeccable wide receiving touchdown that really just blew all the momentum in Atlanta's favor and really stifling any LA attack. Might have that spin move from Hart done the same thing. We'll see if the LA defense is able to come up with a stop here on this drive. Minute 37 to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Man defense.
Edie Jack up on Deezer Powell on the far side. Reno looking for Powell and connecting. 1st and more for Minnesota.
Yeah, I think that was just a battle of speed versus speed, and Powell's he's gonna beat a lot of corners with his pure speed alone. Just gets narrowly ahead of TD Jack and her long frame to get in front of the football and get the catch, and another Minnesota 1st down.
And without using any of his hands, he's able to box out Jack, both the wide receiver and corners at 6'4", as Hart gets another screen pass near side and gains another 8 yards for the Legend.
Yeah, that has been the X factor for Minnesota's offense through these last 2 quarters, I would say. We didn't see a ton of screen plays in the 1st quarter, maybe just 1, but they're really trying to utilize it in this 3rd quarter, and it's worked dividends to them. Another 8 yards.
LA's defense trying to overload the near side of the formation as Minnesota go the other way, trying to go up the middle, in fact, is Isaac Knox, and they will give the rookie the 1st down.
Yeah, that's a tough position. I'm not sure if I'm LA that I would accept it, but they're gonna accept it nonetheless, and it's gonna be 1st and 10 for Minnesota.
High formation here for the Legend on the LA 28-yard line. Heavy blitz coming from the outside as Hart tried to get out of anybody's way except Blackwell stands their ground and stops Hart at the line of scrimmage.
Fully destroyed the line of scrimmage as well. We know that Hart has had a pretty good 3rd quarter, and that might be, one of those, here's an anvil for you to carry through the rest of the way. Big shattering hit.
Potentially the final play of the quarter. Reno rolling and firing middle, and it's taken away. Deflection tip drill, and Monte Wyatt takes it away with a second to go in the quarter.
hot potato, you potato, I potato, right into the hands of Monte Wyatt from a nice deflection from, it looked to be Greg Ward on the pursuit, but more importantly, it was a deflection from guess who? That long arm, the long arm of the law, and TD Jack, and getting the deflection, and that is the momentum swinger that LA needs now to capitalize it offensively with 10 minutes and 1 second left in the game.
LA didn't get a momentum swing play like they in last week's contest. They get one here. Now can they capitalize? Richardson will throw on first down, out route, left side. There's Chris Lee's first catch since the early part of the first half. He goes from 5 yards deep in his own backfield to 8 yards forward of that line of scrimmage as we hit the quarter break. Fourth quarter upcoming. One score ball game. Minnesota, Los Angeles, week 4 of the Simulation Football League. We come back.
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
We welcome you back to Lycanthrope Lair here in Los Angeles, California. Tyler Falk and Brett Solberg here on the call with Justin Reside and Damon Simeon and Stats and our SFL commissioner, Cameron Irvine, back in studio in production. We are glad you could join us here for the conclusion of this weekend's matchups here in the SFL as the handoff from Logan Jack. He's almost eaten alive in the backfield, but works back to the line of scrimmage for no gain, and it will remain 3rd and short.
It was a key push from Matthew Alvarado to stop the speed from Logan Jack and force him to get tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Big 3rd and 2 coming up for LA.
8 men again in the box. They run again with Iniguez. Iniguez, nothing doing. Tommy Polney and Black get involved. And it's 4th and 1 now from LA's 20-yard line.
4 drives, 4 punts for LA now. It's got to be disheartening if you're on the offensive side trying to figure out what do we have to do to get a first down.
That's just in this half. They're 5 punts in a row. As DeQueen out of a tackle, looking left side, and will finally be brought down at the 40-yard line. As we want to remind you that APM Music is unrivaled music to bring your stories to life, inspiring every production with the world's most robust and constantly refreshed music collection, state-of-the-art technology, and world-class customer service. APM Music is the official soundtrack of the Simulation Football League. To explore their library and to find the perfect tracks for your projects, visit apmmusic.com. First drive of the quarter here for the Legend. They were just in LA territory when they threw an interception. How does Reno respond? Rolling left, firing middle. Jay Taylor's there. A gain of 17 yards and a first down.
And this defense is starting to break down a little bit for LA as Johnny Reno's starting to get a little comfortable here. He's finding his targets. He's telling his receivers, get in front of your secondary counterpart, because then I can get you the football. And we're starting to see that completion percentage rise from Johnny Reno, and he's getting more comfortable. That's the biggest key out of it.
High formation. 2 wide receivers, 1st and 10 now from the 24-yard line of LA. Reno looking to throw, hit again as he releases. How many times is LA going to get in the backfield and not come away with the sack?
That's the 3rd time now that Johnny Reno has been lucky enough to at least get the ball out of his hands and moving forward as he was getting hit. Like, LA is giving Reno a tough time, but Reno's got maximum confidence up at this point.
Identical formation. And instead, like last time, they're going to keep both wideouts on the near side of the field. Blitz coming.
Pressure again.
Reno finds Taylor near the line to gain. We'll see what they mark it as we have an injury. Oh, no.
Dusty
Wilson, the guard, is down.
Man, that's going to be huge if they're going to ever look to run the football over Colin Hart's way as well, because Dusty Wilson is a key contributor in opening that gap on the inside. They might have to result themselves in trying to get those stretch runs, get those outside tacklers to get a little bit more involved. I would focus in on the work of Brookie Burr and Axel Raven.
So up comes Tom Nutton, the backup guard, who will try and fill in the best that he can. 3rd and inches now for the legend. They run with Hart, looking to power through, and he does. Colin Hart fights off Tazzy Blackwell for the first down.
Man, another time that he's got Tazzy Blackwell beat, and this time it was the form of strength, not agility. Just push your way forward. Use your big boy strength to get the first down, and Minnesota is knocking at the door of the end zone.
Trips to Reno's right, one wide out to his left. 5-man rush. Reno. Oh, it's a beautiful catch from Quagmam. 1st and goal, Minnesota.
And here's what we haven't talked about all game. Let's give Johnny Reno his flowers. The spread of the wealth that he has given to his receivers in this game has been nothing short of spectacular. Now, the 5th different receiver to get a catch, and nobody has more than 5, which is Deezer Powell, and he's only had 1 catch in the second half.
You're starting to sound a lot like Jason Miller, SFL reporter over here, partner. You sure not him in disguise with that give him flowers thing? As here comes Hart, looking for the end zone, and he will get it. Touchdown, Minnesota.
That's a huge blow to LA for Minnesota to drive so quickly and so easily to the end zone in this 4th quarter, where it's felt like a drag in the 3rd. Now that Minnesota has spread this out to a 2-score lead, you have to give credit to the Minnesota defense and shutting things down to give Johnny Reno the opportunities that he's had in the second half to get this team to a 13, perhaps 14-point lead.
And at least, partner, here in this second half, it just seems like for back-to-back games, LA has just completely fallen flat on offense in this second half. Only 2 first downs compared to Minnesota's 8, as the extra point is up and good from Mickey, and it's now a 2-score ball game after LA had at one point tied this ball game at 14. We are back underway. Here from Lycanthrope Lair. LA needs to find an answer in a hurry. Here comes Iniguez on the return as he runs into the teeth of that hands team. He'll be taken down at the 29-yard line as out comes Richardson and the rest of the LA offense, and they need a change of fortunes in a hurry.
Yeah, and right now, with about 7 and some change left in this game, Minnesota's kind of forced your hand. And as much as you've loved this passing game, it's gone quiet in this second half. Richardson has only thrown 5 times in the second half, and maybe they're trying to avoid what happened last week, but you're down 2 scores. You need to get a quick one within these last 7.5 minutes.
It's your excellent point, partner. Last week he was 5 of 21. We'll see what happens as Richardson rolls, looking right side, and this one is called in by Iniguez, the second completion from Richardson here in the half.
Yeah, and the big thing for Richardson is to just find some confidence. He's 9 of 23 at the moment. He's just 10 of 24 now after that catch, but he's just got to find his confidence, find a way back to 50%, and that might involve getting a lot of passes down on this drive.
And what has been working is a little dump off pass to Jack or to Iniguez, but instead they run with Iniguez.
Ooh.
Left side, it's a favorable spot. First down, LA.
Very favorable. Again, maybe trying to give LA a favorable first down after Minnesota got one in the form of Isaac Knox getting a favorable first down himself. But nonetheless, LA is going to take that all day, every day.
Richardson will throw again. Gets rid of it underneath, and here comes Jack Flash. Oh, my. Someone yelled timber. That's a big hunk of body falling to the turf as we go back to SFL headquarters for a game break.
Thank you, Tyler. Atlanta's BDG Hollywood shut down today, but a 22-yard run for number 22. That is Jason Williams. 24-21 Atlanta back on top of San Diego. Join that one when you're done. Late in the third over there. Back to Iniguez, the Lycans, and your conclusion.
Thank you, Cam. A good little pickup there from Iniguez. Brings up third and short.
Yeah, and it's interesting how LA's approaching this, because last week it was all pass, every pass. But you just saw run on the start of this set of downs to get to the 3rd and 2.
LA is not showing the same wariness of the run game like they have in weeks past, and they're trusting Iniguez and Jack on the ground, and it's working so far. Run their game, try and get back in this game, but they don't have to hustle, maybe just yet.
Yeah, I think the focus for them is to work on what worked in that first half, and Iniguez was doing wonders in that first half, so they're going back to him on the runs, which is working. Got another first down.
Just about to hit the halfway point here in the final frame of regulation as Richardson takes off, and he tries to power through Stephen Black. Black's having none of it.
That is a huge mound of meat to go through in the form of Stephen Black, and Sully tried his best, but Black said, you know what? 5 yards is good enough for you, sir.
9 men in the box here for Minnesota, just trying to counter this 2 tight end, 2 back look. A run with Jack through the legend defense. He gains maybe a yard as LA are back to the line in a hurry with only one true wide receiver out there. That's Pryor as Richardson rolls.
Oh, watch out.
He's going to be thrown to the turf. Down for a sack. Minnesota, get home. It's Matthew Alvarado.
And Alvarado's been threatening all game to get to Sully. Could you believe that in this game, this is the first sack between these two squads? Alvarado's been threatening all game. He's tried to get to the quarterback multiple times, and finally it pays off. Big 4th down.
Alvarado's second sack of his career. Richardson throws it over the middle, hit as he was releasing, looking for Pryor. Incomplete. Turnover on downs.
Another Minnesota defensive lineman that is trying to get to Sully as well. Mark Mello curb stomps him, it feels like, to the turf. And another shattering hit. He gets it off before it's thrown, but nobody near the vicinity of the football. Minnesota has possession. They got a chance to put it away.
We've already seen big comebacks and big near comebacks already throughout this weekend of the SFL. LA is going to need their defense to step up if LA want a shot at a comeback. Minnesota almost predictably start with the run, and Colin Hart gets a great run. His best or second best of the night, maybe matching his 17 yards from earlier in the game.
And I did talk earlier about how that loss to Dusty Wilson might force Minnesota into some more stretch runs. What a stretch run play call from Minnesota. Great blocking from the right tackle to get open space for the first down.
70 yards in total here for Hart tonight. Team's leading rusher, but at the moment, Minnesota still below 100 yards in total of rushing tonight. They will run near side. It is Isaac Knox who gains 2 yards. Tazzy Blackwell in on the stop as the clock will roll.
Yeah, and I think they don't mind that at all. 3.5 minutes left to go. Shed that clock. They're already close to field goal range from Mickey Melillo, who can dial it from 55 if he needs to. But again, look at how patient they are with that clock. They're just letting that baby slide. They're slowly going to the line. This is what Minnesota wants.
The longest that Mickey has hit from here in the last 2 seasons is 48 yards. And so we'll see what happens. Maybe they need to get another first down to be in for sure Mickey territory. Under 3 to go now. Here in the 4th quarter. Handoff Hart, who tries to go through the middle, has a cape, a.k.a. of Rochelle Colston draped all over him to drag him down. 3rd and 7.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The goal here for Minnesota is to at least get a first down, make it a little bit more comfortable, because currently, from where they're spotted, this field goal will be from 51 or 52 yards. So it's not a comfortable range for Melillo yet. So if you even push yourself about 5-6 yards, gives you a chance. Don't need to automatically get the first down, but it definitely helps.
LA needs a stop, especially before the 2-minute warning. Third down. I formation for Minnesota from LA's 34-yard line. Handoff Hart left side. He is stopped near the 32-yard line by Monte Wyatt. And now it comes a test of confidence here for Minnesota's special teams unit.
And didn't you say the longest number in the last couple seasons for Milo was 48? Well, this one's going to be from 48 if they decide to do it.
As we hit the 2-minute warning, decision time for Minnesota as they look to punt. Minnie Melillo back on the field. LA still going to be down by 2 scores. They've got 2 minutes to try and come back. 2 to go, and this 2-minute warning starts with a punt. If the last 2-minute warning was anything to look at in this football game, we could be in for some fireworks late. Punt is away near the 10-yard line, and it will go out of bounds at the 10-yard line. And so LA has to go 90 to hit pay dirt.
Yeah, and they have to find some magic in the form of Sully Richardson. He has had his woes. We've documented this ad nauseum, it feels like, but he's just got to settle down, get his composure, and have that Sully Richardson confidence to get 90 yards to the end zone.
He's been able to try and fit passes in, and luckily for him, there's been no interceptions today. He's been relatively clean. It's the pressure that's been getting to him. We'll see what happens here. Quick hitter near side, and out of the tackle comes Flash, and he gains 7 yards as LA are forced to use their first of 3 timeouts.
I'm not sure if they should have went with the first timeout. I think that was a decent formation to go in a hurry up with, but nonetheless, they used their first timeout. Clock stops at 1:48.
So after the pickup of 7, they come back out on the field at their own 17-yard line. 3 wideouts, pressure backs off. Richardson throws. He overthrows everyone and nearly into the awaiting arms of Cody Griffin. Third down.
That was a corner blitz coming in from Richardson's blind side, it feels, or not on his blind side, on his eyesight line, and he was just throwing that baby out so that he wouldn't get a sack on it.
Nearly threw an interception. Can't have one of those this late in the ball game now. 4 wide receivers with a back in the backfield, maybe for some added protection. LZ Pryor in motion to the near side. 3rd and 3. Minute 45 to go in the ball game. Richardson will look to throw. Looking near side, and Flash couldn't haul it in. It bottles off his hands and off the shoulder pad of Chris Lee, and that will bring up the game. 4th and 3.
Easily 4th and ball game, and it might be just something as simple as just trying to get that first down, find a 3-yard catch so they can get Sully a little bit of momentum here.
4 wide here for Los Angeles. They need to get at least beyond their own 20-yard line for a first down. Richardson with a 3-man rush, looking over the middle, and he overshoots another target, looking for Logan Jack. That's going to be your ball game.
Yeah, and ends up with a little bit of a whimper from LA's offense, but was well covered by the Minnesota secondary. They knew they were going to go 4 straight passes. They dealt with the matter, and now they can run this clock out if they want to and get a field goal in to seal things out completely.
Back-to-back weeks for Los Angeles that they have laid goose eggs in the 3rd and 4th quarter. It is so unfortunate for a group that is so well-liked, so many great people in LA, and they just are unable to find a way forward. That's a great tackle from Los Angeles, Nick Brummer. They call their 2nd of 3 timeouts, but they're only delaying the inevitable. Tomorrow night, Cameron Irvine and Mike O'Neill are back with This Week in the SFL before the Louisiana Revolution battle the Mexico City Aztecs to put a bow on Week 4 of the SFL's 22nd season. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, with This Week in the SFL starting at 7:15, right here on SFL YouTube. Colin Hart goes forward, gains the first down needed. Final timeout from LA, and all we'll see now, partner, is a couple of kneel downs, and that will do it here from Los Angeles.
Yeah, Minnesota goes up to 2-1, have themselves a pretty comfortable victory after, again, LA getting shut down in the second half. You start to think to yourself, is this great defenses from both Atlanta and Minnesota, or is this a lack of production from LA now that's 2 straight games of second half woes? LA is going to be lucky, though. They get a bye week coming up, whereas Minnesota continues their road trip and faces Tulsa next week.
And that's a great thing for LA, getting that bye week next week, because right as it stands, Charleston are also on 4, and so they'll have an extra week to prepare when they come back here at home to face the Preds, and then they go back on the road. They face Mexico City and Motor City in weeks 7 and 8, and then they hit the real teeth of their schedule coming up after that. Vancouver, Queen City, San Diego, Portland, and then they close out in Alamo City. LA is in real tough shape. They're going to need this bye week to change some things up, to get back and playing a bit more competitive and just trying to find answers for second half football, which has been their Achilles heel here at least in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been really tough. Only 66 yards in this second half. Those are numbers you don't want to have in 2 quarters. You want to have that for 6 minutes of a quarter maybe, but in an entire second half where your rushing yards are more than your passing yards, that's a little bit of a more glaring problem to see in that front.
It's 28-24 over with San Diego and Atlanta. You can catch the end of that game here following the conclusion of our game here, also right here on SFL YouTube. There's the final kneel down from Johnny Reno as the clock will expire. Your final score, the Minnesota Legend 28, Los Angeles Lycans 14. Partner, it's the offense for Minnesota that continued to produce, which sealed this football game.
Yeah, and they just didn't stop pushing throughout all 4 quarters. They knew that if they were going to win this game, it was going to come in the second half because it was back and forth between these 2 teams, but Minnesota just kept pushing and pushing and pushing from both the run end and the passing end. Great work from Johnny Reno to just get everyone involved. Ends up 17-31 for 274 unofficially, 3 touchdowns. He might have the 2 picks on his name, but only one of them came to pay, and it still wasn't the difference maker that LA wanted. So it was great resolve from Minnesota's offense and great stops from the defense to neutralize Los Angeles. And again, Los Angeles just back to the drawing board. What can you do to fix those second half woes? That's got to be on their mindset for a 2-week scouting job of Charleston come week 6.
That's a crazy stat right there at the top. First downs, Minnesota had twice that much. Total yards, nearly twice as much as LA. And passing yards for Sully, who is one of the league leaders in passing yards, only 107. And that will conclude matters here tonight. We'll see you for more SFL action tomorrow. Louisiana, Mexico City. Until then, folks, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Bye-do.